medium is Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was originally a series of books that became a television show produced by HBO. It's a fantasy series about four noble families: the Starks, the Baratheons, the Lannisters, and the Targaryens fighting for the crown in the Kingdom of Westeros. What is the function of the medium? Well, in the first point, it's a form of entertainment. The show's story, costuming, sets, and characters draw in an audience and give the show a lot of traction. Another function of the TV show as a medium is to reach a wider audience. Before the show, the books were pretty much just set for fantasy nerds, people that liked fantasy novels. But after the show came out, its audience grew, and now it's more of a common thing in a household. Another function of the medium is to gain interest in the books. After the show came out, the book sales increased immensely, and more people got into fantasy novels. Game of Thrones compared to other media. As stated before, the series was originally a series of books called A Song of Ice and Fire. And with that, the show kind of leaves out details that the books cover. In the books, there's a lot more characters, a lot more scenarios, and the characters even have different representations of them. The Cinema of Attraction by Tom Gunning explains that the cinema of attraction is the ability to show something. And every change in film history implies a change in its address to the spectator. A good example of this is Daenerys Targaryen. In the book, she has white hair, white skin, and purple eyes, while in the show, she has blonde hair, fair skin, and blue eyes, which tends to be more realistic.
So, Game of Thrones is based on ruling all seven kingdoms, and the episode is called Bastards. And I'll be talking on specificity and form of content, and this episode is about a war which happens to rule one of the kingdom. The episode was directed by Miguel Sapochnik. So the writers of Game of Thrones have been trying to build this battle for last 2 seasons because this battle is very crucial to the storyline of the episode of all the Game of Thrones. Miguel tried to do a strategic pitch field battle, which was not possible in previous seasons because they hadn't had any resources in the previous seasons, but the resources were available now. So according to Tom Gunning, the cinema of attraction solicits a highly conscious awareness of the film, engaging the viewer's curiosity. So, as you can see in the trailer,
battles have been won against greater odds. I've fought beyond the wall against worse than Ramsay Bolton.
You don't know him.
If I fall, don't bring me back.
Thousands of men don't need to die.
Only one of us.
So this episode took almost 25 days to shoot, and director described the difficulty of coordinating horses was far beyond the. So they tried to use CGI to increase the effect of war. So as if there were 20 people fighting, the CGI was used to expand the army to like thousands, which create this enormous effect, and it's trying to like get the attention of the audience. And if you like watch it on a big screen, you can see that you will feel like the real battle is going on the screen, like as you can see in this image, this horse image, but it is not allowed that the two horses touch each other. So in the episode, so making a war scene with a horse would have been very difficult. One horse rider runs into a frame and the horse rider would pull the horse, which would it would make the horse fall down, and then they would use CGI to superimpose a horse in place of that frame, so that it feels like the two horses are colliding and falling down. So and so it was like there were more than 500 extras and so many crew members, 600 something, not sure, but I think 600 members were used. So and I want to talk about is there's another similar object of media which you can think is called another show called Viking. So it has almost same and has similar kind of war scenes. So the Vikings is based on the farmer who rose to fame by successfully raiding into England and eventually becoming Scandinavian king. So as Goat is based on ruling all seven kingdoms. This is based on ruling a kingdom as well. So both Game of Thrones and Vikings are similar shows and have some similar kind of audience and is using war to try to make their audience like watch it for as long as they are making the show and increase their TRPs and stuff.
I'll be talking about relation to the viewer user and context of our media object, which is Battle of the Bastards, which is an episode of Game of Thrones season 6. In Society of the Spectacle, Debord said, in societies dominated by modern conditions of production, life is presented as an immense accumulation of spectacles. A spectacle is a visually striking performance or display. One of the reasons Game of Thrones got famous was because of the amazing screenplay in the show. The episode Battle of the Bastards took 25 days to shoot and required 500 extras, 600 crew members, and 70 horses for the battle. This shows us that they put extra effort to make the spectacle striking and more memorable for the viewers of the TV show. The experience of the user is structured by the suspense of the story that led to the battle in this episode. The writers and directors have been building up this battle for several seasons, which makes it enormously crucial to the story and makes the viewers engaged in the show. The world of the show is unrealistic. It has fiction and fantasy combined to create a truly memorable show for the viewers. The TV show is created using a lot of visual effects to create the mythical world of Game of Thrones. The show is created around several leading characters, and the main protagonist, I feel, is Jon Snow. The viewers of the play become more sympathetic and supportive of whoever they feel is the most important character of the play. They feel connected just by being a viewer. This keeps them watching the show so that they could see the protagonist rise to success, like Jon Snow wins in this episode to become the King of Winterfell. This show is viewed by a very large number of audience. The main purpose of watching the show for the viewers is entertainment. This show is entertaining and it has a really exciting storyline which keeps the audience wanting more. This show is also known for its cliffhangers and plot twists. You cannot predict what is going to happen, which makes it even more interesting for the audience. Game of Thrones is created by HBO, and anyone interested to watch the show can watch it by taking a subscription of HBO. It is available online and it also comes on TV and other places. Also, HBO has found an ideal partner in Amazon to stream its older shows, and the duo's tag teaming is certainly a blow to Netflix. To understand why the deal is a smart move for HBO, it's important to look at what the deal doesn't include. It's only going to star shows which are 3 years or older, and it's not going to be included in the Prime membership, and it will be the audience will have to pay for the seasons separately. It will be really good for HBO uh, as it can earn more money by that.
The ideology of Game of Thrones is that it constructs the idea of society so that everyone is just out to get you, and it's all about violence and chaos and just backstabbing, pretty much. It's there's so much hatred and just backstabbing and just anger, and the show that it's just based on a family's name or small actions they've done. People are killed over the subtlest things or just because their last name or their family name. It's a symbol for the constant war and fighting going on in everyday society, the way it is today, where everything's always a fight, or on social media everyone's got a problem with something, or someone's always trying to start something. Nothing ever doesn't have a reason. It's always instigated or pushed by someone to start it. The way media functions in society is that it shows the constant idea of how media can be used to deceive or influence personal society ideals. The use of ravens and letters are their common way to spread information, opinions, and stories in the universe. That's the media of the show. It's a great way to get things across, besides the word of mouth, which is how they just communicate with each other and spread rumors and tell lies, and that's how they manipulate everything. Ravens are a big key in that too. They manipulate false strategies and battles that didn't occur and stuff. Battle of the Bastards specifically. In the battle, they deceive the structure of their army and they surround them, and then they get help from somewhere else. So they're deceiving. They didn't know that there was someone called in by Raven to come help. It's a great symbol of how all society can be influenced on one media, whereas an entire society can go to war with coordination through ravens. Like in the majority of the show, it's all caused by rumors and ravens spreading things, like letters and stuff that cause people to get angry or misread things or are just told flat out lies that people are happy when they're not. That's a reason why all the war and everything occurs, and that's just a big thing in today's society, whereas people get angry over things they don't understand completely, and people don't tell things completely true. The enjoyment of violence done in the film of the film character turns into violence against the spectator. Distraction becomes exertion. The culture, industry, enlightenment, mass deception. Max Meyer, page 110. So what that means is the violence in Game of Thrones is like a heavy reason for the attraction of the show. It's always like a good example of like what everyone enjoys, the entertainment. That's what people like to watch. But the reason it links to the quote is because it lends to be like an intriguing watch. And the violence always how society solves problems. They always want to argue, fight, point fingers. No one else wants to take the blame. It's always someone else's fault, and it's always going to be violence in our society, and the show is a great example of that. No matter how we try to get rid of it, it's always going to be there, and it puts that out perfectly.